growing up?
Could I change that? Could I go to question on down the...
Yeah.
See, question 2 is mom. I'll put mom and dad first.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay. Tell me a story about your dad.
My dad was about 5'10", fairly stocky, had a ready smile for everyone in the world, and he always, when we wanted to do something, he would give us an opportunity to make a choice of do something or something else, and I always thought that was very fair of him to do that. Like he'd say, tomorrow you can either get on your hands and knees and pick all the little tiny weeds out of the carrots and the beets and the radishes, or you can go with me in the grader out on the highway, and Mom will fix us a great big lunch. And I said, gosh, that's not a very hard decision to make. I'll go through. But he said, okay, then you have to do all that other stuff the next day. But anyway, you're very strict about whose turn it is to get the coal in, whose turn it is to get the wood in, helping Mom on Saturday do all the laundry and the mopping of the house and washing the windows. And there was no doubt about us doing it. We were going to do it. And the only problem is who was going to do it. But then snow shoveling came, same thing with snow shoveling. But it seemed like there was always a lot of satisfaction and comfort in our house. I don't remember us kids fighting a lot. I remember that when we did, why he got right in the middle of it quickly and stopped it. And I can only remember him giving me a whipping once. When he gave you a whipping, you never forgot it, because he'd go out on the tree and pick some branches off the tree, and then he would usually hit you once or twice. That's all he'd hit you, once or twice, but that was enough. You knew it. But he was very fair. He was very fair to all of our family, and I think our whole family in particular, I certainly did, admired him. I never ever saw him smoke a cigarette or drink a beer in his whole life. He did not want to tell a dirty joke. He loved jokes, but he was always very supportive of our whole family. Everything that he made went right into the family for food and for what we needed. And he spent his winters plowing snow, spent his summers grading and putting asphalt on the highway. Very wonderful dad.
Okay. Tell me a story about your mom.
My mom seems like that she was kind of closest to us, primarily because she was always at home. And she would take us to St. Columbus School. So most times she would go get us for lunch, come home and make our lunch, and then we'd go back to St. Columbus. She was always very supportive in a way I can remember particularly when Ed and kids were older that she supported them very strongly in their sports. She obviously needed an awful lot of help, and as all of the family seemed to jump in and help her and do the things that she needed to have done. She always made cinnamon rolls on Thursday afternoon with about 6 or 7 loaves of homemade bread. And when we'd come home from school, she'd always let us have one big cinnamon roll, and they were scrumptious and something that you came home every Thursday afternoon to get. She was very strict also, very much a disciplinarian. And when she said she wanted something done, she wanted it done. She wanted it done when she said she wanted it done. And if you didn't do it, you paid a price for it. And the price was usually not what you wanted. But she was always there, strongly, sternly, guiding us, leading us, believed just unquestionably in integrity and not lying and don't cheat, and those things are fundamental to a good life.
What job did you have growing up? Or jobs?
Jobs growing up, wow. I think I started out with my first job as a paper boy, delivering the Durango Herald in Anima City. Don also had that same job, and we'd alternate back and forth, and when I didn't do it, he did it, and when he didn't do it, I did it. So we kind of each took turns doing it. Hard job, because Anima City was just wide open space, all gravel roads, and we had to ride our bike over those gravel roads, which took a lot of time. But that was probably first job. Second job was delivering milk for Morse Jersey Dairy. We had to do that early in the morning so the milk didn't get warm. And we did that for a couple of years, and he gave us $1 silver to each of us every time we delivered the milk. We drove all over town delivering the milk. And then in the afternoon, we worked for a guy that had a peg leg. We called him Peg. But he had lost his leg in World War I. And he had a team of horses and a wagon and a bunch of old pigs. And so we'd go down with him to get slop out of the restaurants. He'd bring it home and feed the pigs the slop, and then he'd raise them up and then sell them. And see, the next job must have been, well, I think I was in the 8th grade when this guy named Charlie Carter wanted me to put new shingles on his house, on this one side of his house where his kids had torn all the shingles off. So he gave me $20, and I put those asbestos shingles on there, and it seems like it took me forever to do it, but they had to fit right in a row, right down the line. And I didn't mind doing it, but I had $20 to buy me some new clothes for school that year, and I really thought that was neat. And after I started back to school in the fall, Pinky Boyle, who owned Boyle Motors, and they owned the Packard dealership in Durango, Packard and Jeep. And he wanted me to come to work for him, greasing cars, washing cars, clean up, do whatever I could. So I did that. And I did that nights. They were at 14th and Main, so I'd walk right down from St. Columbus when I was in the 8th grade, and do that job. And he gave me $4 a week, $4 a week to do that, and I thought I was really rich. And I did that for a couple of years. Liked that job because you got to meet quite a few people. And after that, when I was going into the 12th grade, I went to work for the Colorado Department of Highways and driving stakes and surveying and working with them. And that's probably one of the things that helped me to decide to become an engineering student is working for the State Highway Department. So I worked for them for 3 or 4 years until my first year in Fort Lewis. That first year in Fort Lewis, I went to work for the Bureau of Reclamation. Again, as a survey aide, just kind of working every day, 8 to 4. Liked the job, got along fine with the people, so they wanted me to come back the next year. And then I was a sophomore, and then I had to quit school at Fort Lewis. I'd finished 2 years at Fort Lewis. I had to quit school at Fort Lewis in order to work the year around so I could go to Colorado State University. So I worked the year round, went to Colorado State University, and stayed with the Bureau summers. I continued to work with the Bureau summers. People at the Bureau, I think, appreciated what I did and wanted me to keep coming back. And so after I graduated from CSU, I was hired by the Bureau full-time and started working with them as a career. And that was 1960. And I stayed with the Bureau for 37 years and retired in 1990.
Okay, if you could have been anything as a job, what would you have chose to be?
It's really a difficult question because, see, I felt I was very successful with the Bureau of Reclamation, having finished the last 8 years as Deputy Regional Director. And I liked the people there and enjoyed the job a lot, and was always able to come home for lunch, and if anything happened at home, I was able to be there to help take care of it. And I just don't know of another job that would have given me all of those privileges, in addition to being able to coach Little League, to coach Eddie and Charlie and Liz. No, I didn't coach Liz. I watched her games.
Okay, well then, what job did you want when you were little? What did you want to be?
I think when I was little, I wanted to be a farmer. And I never had the chance, or I never had the opportunity. Several people advised me that I should be a priest. And I thought it fairly interesting also. But I didn't have any money. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I said, what do you do to become a priest? And just somebody off the street said, hey, you should become a priest. Well, you don't know what to do with it. And I didn't. So I just kept on doing what I was doing.
What was it like growing up with 7 siblings?
Say that again.
What was it like growing up with 7 siblings?
Okay, we had 8
Oh, well, 8.
actually, but it seems like we always had bigger brothers and bigger sisters that supported us a lot, and I never remember having any fights or anything with my brothers. Don and I were closest, so we spent a lot of time together growing up. And one of the things that we did in the job world was put on roller skates at the roller skating rink next door to us. And we both worked there for a long time. Kind of got a kick out of working there and became pretty good roller skaters. And enjoyed some of the people that were there, or movie stars when they'd come to town. My dad usually always spend a night or two up there. And you had Clark Gable and a bunch of those types of people that would come up, and we'd always try to get to them first because we knew they'd give us a big tip. And so that was always fun too.
Okay, when and how did you fall in love with Grandma?
Grandma was 2 years behind me, no, 3 years behind me in school. And I used to see her quite a bit. She'd drive her car up and down Main Street, and I'd drive my car up and down Main Street. And we, every time you pass each other in Durango, there's an old custom that you honk horns at each other. So she'd go by, I'd honk, I'd go by, she'd honk. And one night I just said, how would Eileen Haffey be on a date? And so I give her a call, and she said, yes, she'd go out with me on a date. But I could hear her sisters in the background saying, oh, you don't want to go out with John Brown. You don't want to go out with John Brown. He's nobody. And so she didn't pay attention to that. She went out with me anyway, and she was also going out with another guy named Art Adcock. And Art Adcock was really a nice fellow and also a good friend of mine. And he took her out a few times, and he said, Eileen told me that she was going with you. How serious is it? And I says, well, at this stage in the game, just going out is all we're doing. And he says, if you're interested in her very much, he says, I'll quit going with her. And he did. He quit going with her, and I started going with her more. And we just had a lot of fun together, and just did a lot of stuff that we enjoyed. And I looked at her, I said, she's a good Catholic, which is one of my conditions. So, and I thought she was very, very right for being the mother of our children. And so we didn't do any planning on getting married. We both went back to college. I was at CSU, she was at Boulder. And we went together that year during the school year. And I'd come down from CSU, maybe once a month or something like that. And every time I came down, I was so broke, I usually didn't have money enough to either go out and eat anything or to fill my car with gas. And so she was working at a little restaurant called Fred's, and she'd always give me a couple of bucks or something, or we'd go get a foot-long hot dog and a beer, and then we'd always save enough money, which was $2, to buy a pitcher of beer at Tulagis. Tulagis was kind of a little college graduate dance floor bar fun place. So we'd always go there, dance just as long as we could until they closed, because we both loved to dance, and we still do. And so she would save $2 to buy our pitcher of beer. We'd go and just have a wonderful time doing that. And then I'd go back to CSU, and she'd, of course, stay there at Boulder. And we did that for quite a long time, and then we just about the time Christmas came, before we thought we were going to graduate, why, I gave her a pin for my fraternity house. I was an ATO, and just really had a lot of support, and you grow to really like the guys that you're with there, and so I had a lot of fun there. And I also gave her an ATO pin for Christmas, which is kind of a almost engagement type thing. It's a meaningful and romantic, and all my ATO brothers got on all kinds of different phones, and we all sang congratulations to her one night, and she loved that just before Christmas. And then we had decided to get married in June, right after we both had graduated. And in the meantime, I was selected as Colorado's Outstanding Soldier of the Year by the governor, and was invited down to the state building. And she went with me, and I received the award for being Colorado State Outstanding Soldier of the Year for 1960. So that was one of the nice things that I received in 1960. And then a couple of months later, she had found out she didn't have quite enough selectives to graduate, so she would have to go to summer school. So it was no big deal. I just went to work for the Bureau, and she went on to summer school, and she chose to play golf, and to play golf as one of her electives, and her other one was basket weaving. So she did that. She did that during the summer, and when August came, she was through, and we were married August 20th, and began the life of our family, our immediate family. Charlie, Liz, Mike, Charlie, Liz, Pat, and Ed, and the 7 grandchildren who are so meaningful to us.
What do you like most about the cabin, or what do you like about the cabin?
The cabin is kind of a collection of, I think, just an awful lot of memories to the family. We try to build it on memories, and when we have a special one, like we do right now with Emily, we try to help them build as many memories as we possibly can. But it's a place to get away. It's just a beautiful location. We love the fishing. We love the water skiing. We like the water. We like the boating. We like the mountains around us. Emily and Daniel, mom and dad, just took a climb up Engineer Mountain, which is very close to 14,000. And that's little things like that that challenge you, that create awfully good memories. It's something we all dearly love, including the whole family.
Mm. What was a fun vacation you took?
That's really a hard question because we don't take anything but fun vacations. Try to make them that way. But I think probably one of the finer ones was our trip to Hawaii. Seems like we spent a week at Kona and a week at Honolulu. And at Kona, we were able to drive all the way around the island and view the volcano, view the Mormon International exhibitions that they have there, which were fantastic. See all the high waterfalls, visit with some of the people, and it was just really a joy. And when we went to Honolulu, I was seeing the memorial there for the Second World War, just reading on the beach. We just did an awful lot of fun things there, so it probably would come close to being as fun as any we took.
Did you go as a kid or with grandma?
Pardon me?
Did you go as a kid?
We went
To
with
Hawaii?
Grandma.
We went with grandma.
Yeah, Arlene and I went together, and we used we used 2 of the weeks from our timeshares in Mexico.
What was a scary time in your life?
Scariest time in my life, I think, was probably when I was growing up. I was about 12 in the Boy Scouts, when I had to walk home from meetings, which was most of the time. It was really dark, there were no lights, and we had to walk I was about 1.5 miles from church, and we had to walk past the old fairgrounds, which was like a horse corral. And it was really dark, and you'd always hear a bunch of steps behind you and all kinds of things falling and making up all kinds of different things that just really scared me. And I was always glad to get past the fairgrounds and find where houses were, so I could at least scream if something happened. But nothing ever happened. Nothing ever did. But I was just scared.
What's your favorite food? Favorite food?
My favorite food would have to be a nice steak about this big around, about that thick, nice and red in the middle, with a lobster tail about this big right next to it, with a lot of butter on it, and a baked potato right here, nice and smoked up with sour cream and butter, and a nice salad with cheese on it. That's my ideal of a perfect dinner. I haven't had one in a long time. Will one of these days. Have one of those one of these days.
What is
The
your
steak would be a filet mignon.
What is your favorite movie?
Almost every movie I go to, I say, gosh, that's one of my favorite movies. That's a hard question too, because you see so many movies so many plots, different reasons. But I decided I like a movie that helps to challenge people, kind of picks them up from their bootstraps and lifts them to a place they weren't before. And I was thinking, Bells of St. Mary's, which had Bing Crosby in it, I think was certainly one of my favorites. And the reason it was is because it's about a whole bunch of little tiny kids going to Catholic school and they don't have money enough to do anything. And they struggle very hard to try to teach the children how to grow up and have a good life. And I think that probably is one of my favorites.
What is your favorite song?
It just seems like I have so many favorite songs to it. Let's see, I like Western. I like classics. I like plain old popular. Seems like trying to remember one from each category is even pretty hard to do.
If you were to go anywhere in the world right now, where would you go? If you could go anywhere,
If I could go anywhere,
where would you go?
I think the first pick I would have would be Ireland. We went there once, Eileen and I, and dearly loved it. Her great uncle's remains are still there. There's just a lot of interest and beauty, and I think enjoyment, entertainment you can get from Ireland that is truly a joy. I think it would be Ireland.
Okay. Where was your favorite place to live out of all the places you lived? Which one was your favorite?
I just can't think of a better way than we have today of spending the summers here at the cabin and spending our winters in Arizona out of the snow. I just can't think of a better opportunity than to have that one.
Anything else you want to add? Any more stories?
The only other thing I would add is how much we appreciate these little things like Emily staying here. I appreciate the support of our family. It just seems like every time that something comes up that is important to you, the family's always involved, and I like that. I think that's really, really wonderful.
What's your favorite thing to do?
As of this week, I think my favorite thing to do is fish. But whether we get to do it or not is yet to be seen. But if I think I had a choice, I'd say that's what I'd like to do this week. With Emily. And the reason I say that is because the last time Emily and I went fishing, it rained like heck out there and we really didn't get to finish our little fishing trip.